Hey, welcome back to the range. This is Buffman here. Have some more armor to test today. This is from C.A.T.I or C.A.T.I, come and take it. This is their level 3A soft armor insert. Below it right here is their non-Newtonian blunt force Trama Pad that you typically will put either behind a soft panel or a hard panel to help mitigate backface deformation. We're going to run this test a little differently today. We've pretty much well established, myself, the chopping block, and the wound channel, what a lot of these particular vests and panels and plates are rated to stop. So we're going to take a couple control shots. I've got some SS 198, I've got some pretty fast 9mm, and another faster 5.7 load. This is a 40 grain TMJ at around 2,000 feet per second. We're going to see what those are going to do against the panel itself. And then what I want to do is I want to see how well these blunt force Trama Pads work. So I've got some 12 gauge Slugs and I've got some 50 Action Express. We'll take a shot without the blunt force Trama Pad, see how much backface deformation we get. Then we'll put the pad in there and take another shot. So I figured that'd be a good test for today. Our Pro Chrono Pal Chrono as always. It's about 75 or 80 degrees outside, and we'll be using our clay briefcase as a backer. So first up, we'll test the SS 198 out of the 5.7 pistol. Our 5.7 pistol has the slightly longer 5.4 inch barrel on it. We'll see if we get a penetration or not. Velocity was 21-23. We may have a pass-through with that velocity. That's pretty warm. We're going to take a second shot because our first shot was a little too close to the edge. We'll take a second shot here and then we'll go down and see what happened. Velocity was 21-16. So here was our first shot. We were really close to the edge on that one. I wouldn't consider that a fair hit. So our second shot was right here. And for the results, we have a pass-through on both of them. Here's the recovered round from the second shot sitting down in here. You can get it out of there, maybe. And clay's all nice and warm. Kind of played a little unfair advantage on that plate there, mainly because we're using the longer 5.7 barrel, so we got a little extra velocity out of there. So let's step up to that hot 9mm and see what that's going to do. So now we'll try some hotter 9mm. This is L7A1 from Hertenberger. This is probably the hottest 9mm I've ever chronographed. These 124 grain rounds are warmer than most 115 grains that I've been shooting. We use our 4.95 inch M&P. Velocity was 13-17. Here's our shot right here. What do you guys think? Hey, no penetration. But look at that divot. Our clay today is right around 100 degrees. So that's a pretty good temperature for getting a good representation of this back face. Let's see how deep we are here. We're at 38.77 millimeters. That's getting pretty close to a failure on a soft armor. You're allowed up to 44 millimeters, and anything after that, internal injuries and or / death from internal injuries may occur. Let's see what kind of blunt force we're going to get from the Desert Eagle and the shotgun, and then see how much our blunt force Trama Pad helps us. Now we've got something heavy and something fast. Got some style points for the gold magazine here. This is a 300 grain jacketed soft point, 50 cal Action Express. I don't have a 44 Magnum, so this was as close as I had. We have a 6-inch Desert Eagle. We're going to attempt to get this on target. Me and this Desert Eagle do not get along when it comes to making accurate shots. .14-21. So here was our shot right here. What do you guys think? Look at that hole. But the panel caught it. I can feel the bullet inside there. There's the back of the plate. It took a beating. Let's see if we can measure how deep this hole is. Probably not very easily measured. Well, at a minimum, it's 52 millimeters deep. That's beyond the IIIA limit of 44 millimeters, so that probably could definitely kill you, even though it didn't penetrate. But that's kind of what we want to test. Now, we'll do the shotgun, see what we get, and then we'll throw that panel behind it and see how much that helps mitigate this blunt force trauma. So now we're going to test a 12 gauge slug. This is my Remington 870 SBS with a 12-inch barrel. We've got some of the Freedom Munitions Extreme Slugs. As a note, level 3A is not rated to stop 12 gauge. It did in my prior test, so we'll give this one a whirl. So here's our shot. Here's the wad. Here's the slug. It's hot. It didn't even get past like the first or second layer. But that's blunt force trauma right there. I mean, that's my entire fist. And I don't have a board to stick across here to measure, but it's over 54 millimeters. So that's a lot of blunt force. So let's remold our clay and see what the Trama Pad does. So now we have our Trama Pad behind our level 3A. Like I mentioned, it's a non-Newtonian material, so it stays soft until something hard hits it, and then it gets hard, and in this case would help distribute the energy and lessen blunt force trauma. We've got our L7A1 again, and our M&P with the 4.95-inch barrel. We've removed the chronograph because we already have chronograph readings. We're just checking for blunt force trauma in this case. So here was our impact. We have no pass-through. I can feel the bullet in the vest. It broke this Trama Pad up pretty good. Here's our hole right here. As far as backface goes, we're actually 2 millimeters more this time at 41.79 millimeters. That's odd. Definitely would have figured that would have helped lessen that a lot, but for some reason it didn't. Let's try the 50 AE and the 12 gauge and see what happens there. My wife and I decided that we were going to skip the Desert Eagle for this test since we put a lot of energy into the plate, and we're just going to see what the 12 gauge is going to do in terms of blunt force trauma with the Trama Pad behind it. Here's our shot dead center. You can see the lead poking out there, no pass through. That slug opens up pretty good when presented with some thick material. Here's our Trama Pad. That thing's all definitely beaten to hell. And there's our blunt force trauma again. I tried to measure this one again as well, and it's over, I mean, without having a straight edge to set this on, you just kind of have to hold it there, but it's over 44 millimeters. So I'm not too sure about this Trama Pad when it comes to soft armor. Definitely doesn't seem to help mitigate much of that blunt force trauma, at least in the couple threats we tested against. Now obviously level 3A is not rated for 12 gauge, but that 9mm didn't pass through, and the second shot with the Trama Pad didn't seem to make it any less or not. So thanks again, C.A.T.I, for providing us with this body armor to test. As always, thanks again for watching, everybody, and until next time.